I am your host, Matthew David Hurtado, and this is all about mastering the art of receiving with least effort. So we're going to talk today with someone who I think is an extraordinary coach and someone that I know knows how to allow, and you're going to get some unique insight. And I'm just going to bring you on. So Billie, are you with us?
I am here, yep.
Okay, so this is Billie Allen, and Billie is a high-level strategic coach in the San Diego area, and she has clients worldwide. And I've gotten the pleasure to meet Billie, and I understand a lot of kind of what she does, but I want her to tell you a little bit about how she works, and I think you're going to be in for a surprise because she's very fast. So tell us a little bit about how you got into coaching, Billie, because I know you have a pretty cool background. So tell us a little bit about that, how you got into coaching.
Okay, well, it's interesting because in one way, I think I've always had the inclination to be a coach. On some level, I've been coaching all my life. Since I was little, I was interested in studying the mind, and I remember, challenging my fear of heights when I was 10 years old. I think when I was around the same time, I remember discovering something about novelty and time that has influenced my life since, and it's been a big thing for me. And a lot of different things. But as far as getting into coaching itself, I was interested in the mind. I studied the mind from, just interested, read parenting magazines when I was little, and then I learned about psychology, and it was the natural route that I went because I hadn't heard of coaching. It wasn't in my, I don't even know if it existed, whatever, but I went into psychology, got into that. And interestingly, along the way, I also was in, which is also related to mine, studying, that kind of thing. I got into, in the Air Force, I got into intelligence and counterterrorism. And there's a lot of different things, but basically, around 2006, I first kind of learned of what coaching was, and in some of my jobs, I've done some level of coaching, did some corporate coaching, and then finally created my own career in San Diego.
Fantastic. Yeah, I remember when we first had a conversation, and I've worked with a lot of coaches, and I know there's some excellent coaches, and I have a lot of excellent coaches, and I consider you one of them. And one thing that you did is I brought something up to you, and I can't remember what it was, but it seemed complex to me. And I watched, and it was less than like 2 minutes, and you had presented an answer back to me that was a shift that caused me to see right through it. And that's when I knew that you had the goods. And I saw on Facebook recently that you had this thing, and I was going to bring this up. We're going to kind of see how this falls into place, but I want to give somebody a takeaway. I want to give them something to do, something to work on. So you had this thing that was 40 days, and it was clearing out the clutter in your life by clearing out your clutter in your space. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, and just to kind of lead into that, as I studied more about the mind, and as I got more involved in coaching, deeper involved in coaching, naturally, I got more and more interested in the spiritual side and spiritual laws, because the more you do it, the more it just becomes incredibly apparent that this is all underneath what's going on. So one of the things that to be honest with you, I learned about fairly recently, only within the last 6 months that I really pulled this together. I understood about creating space, and I understood about the power of that, but I didn't put it all together that is actually a big piece of prosperity. And by prosperity, of course, that includes financial prosperity, and it includes all kinds of prosperity. So, trying to get to make sure I'm answering your question. So tell me your question one more time, because I want to make sure that I'm getting it.
Well, what I was thinking was, I know that you had this engagement with this idea that you were going to do this. I saw these trash bags, and it was, the whole thing was to take your clutter out of your space, and then by doing that, you'll unclutter your life. And I know that that leads to prosperity, because order is the first law of prosperity. So tell us about that process. Have you done that process, and what have you noticed?
Well, I've started the process as far as, I'm clearing things out. And
Yep.
one thing, the 40-day challenge was not my challenge, just to be clear. So
Okay.
I took on that challenge, but I also let people know that this is bigger than just cleaning out your closet. This, you know, when you're cleaning out your physical space, you are creating. See, the thing is with prosperity, a lot of people don't understand. They try to create, and they think creating is the only important thing involved in manifesting. But if you want to be a magnet, if you want to prevent yourself from repelling what you're bringing in, then you have to create space for it. And you can do that on a physical level by actually clearing out your physical space. You can do it on a, you know, more of a psychological level by, you know, things like letting go of, you know, resentment, letting go of old stories that don't serve you, you know, things like that. Really, really powerful to create space as well. And I'd love to share a story with you about creating space, actually.
Please do.
So I didn't get the whole context of this at the time, but this is what can happen from actually clearing out physical space. So when I moved to San Diego, I decided that I was going to move to San Diego right before I had a trip planned to Paris. And I was going to Paris for a month, and I was not really happy where I was at the time. And not only not happy, I was getting physically sick from my job, and it wasn't good. So I had decided, I said, I cannot live in resentment. I either need to just let go and just be okay where I am, or I need to change everything. So originally I was just gonna let go and, you know, and then I just decided, what, are you crazy? Like, just change everything. So I had bought a ticket for 4 days after I was getting back from Paris to come out to San Diego. And long story short, I came out here, I found a condo within a month and a week, which was my timeline. And then I moved out here, but I only had 2 weeks to pack, and I just decided to get rid of everything except for 10 boxes. So all the stuff all my belongings, and even, you know, treasured things, I got rid of tons of stuff. And it was actually stressful to not have that stuff, to come out here and have nothing. In fact, the first night I got here, my boxes hadn't arrived, and I slept with a little pillow and travel blanket on the floor. I was just like, you know what, I didn't have a car yet. I already picked out my car, but I hadn't got that. I was planning to go the next day. So that's, but in any case, so it was very stressful to go to get something and not realize I didn't have it, and have this regret about giving up stuff, because it can actually be physically stressful to give up on material things. It can feel that way. But what happened was it started creating this emotional space. And I started having these shifts, like really big shifts. And one of the things that happened was in my relationship with my mom, which is something that I had been working on for a very long time, I had this problem where I could not think, even, this is kind of sad, but I couldn't even think I love my mom without there being a caveat. But I would say I love my mom, but, and I couldn't think it. And I knew that it was a problem. And by some crazy, I was just walking around my condo the one day, and all of a sudden I had this thought about my mom, and I just thought, I love my mom, and that word wasn't there. And it may seem small, but this is like, I mean, this was going for a long time, and I knew that it was something I needed to lose, and I couldn't get rid of it. It was just gone. And then but the feeling with it was completely changed as well. There was just a feeling that was very, very different. And I actually went home because I had just walked around my compass without my phone or anything. I went home and I went online, and I was, you know, checking the things that I normally judge her for. And I didn't have the same feeling. It was gone. It was just gone. It's hard to explain, but it was like something, the universe had shifted something.
That's incredible. So you got the physical space cleared out, and it cleared the metaphysical / everything, like your whole auric, your etheric, all that stuff got cleared.
Everything's energy. There's no difference. It's just that we perceive that there's a difference. So if we're clearing out the physical space, it can have an effect on the emotional space. And it's something that you can't, if you don't have space, if you don't create space, nothing can change. So yes, you can pile on and pile on and pile on, but if you haven't created space, you cannot maintain anything. Yes,
that's true. You have to create the space for change, and that's prosperity. It's the vacuum law of prosperity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. Create a vacuum, and the universe abhors a void, so it will fill the space with good. That is the principle. Now, that's fantastic. So, all right, let's talk about some of the work that you do, because I brought an idea up to you, and it's a business I'm still working on, and then you had this insight for me. It's a process that you have done, and you sort of pioneer it with your clients. You want to talk about that process? You know which one I'm talking about?
I think I might.
It's a relating exercise, you said.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about, there's something called authentic relating games, and I'm not the author of those games. However, when I found these games, when I was introduced to these games, I've realized these little pieces of things I've actually been doing throughout my life without realizing it. And the authentic relating games was something that I had done in little pieces, to be completely honest, on a couple of dates. And
what a better time, yeah.
And they really had a really powerful effect. And so when I was introduced to this idea of these authentic relating games or connecting games, people call them different things, it was just really powerful, because you see how, like, one thing that's been really important to me is breaking down the barriers that exist between people, having people connect on a deeper level. That's something that's been important to me all my life, as far as I can remember at least. And these games or these activities take people who maybe don't even know each other, and in the matter of a couple hours, a few hours, there's deep connection. And the one event that I did recently, 2 people in the event said that they shared something that they never shared in their life before. And these were strangers. This was only in the matter of maybe 2.5, 3 hours, and this was just one exercise. It was just maybe 5-10 minutes. But everything gets dropped, like all your barriers get dropped really quickly.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. It's cool stuff.
I like that, because when I look at the realm of coaching, I always think there's 3 categories, and this is how I see it. I see there's relationships, there's money, and there's health. That's usually what somebody wants. And so you're kind of covering it all with some simple, like, they're not simple, but you can kind of put it into a process. And I like your processes because they usually involve engagement and things that are extra. They kind of get people out of their what about a conditioned way of being. Yeah.
And there's, okay.
Nope, I'm good.
I was gonna say those activities, honestly, I've just been kind of doing them on the side for fun, because it's a challenge for me, and I also sometimes I take things on and I don't exactly know where it's going to lead, but I feel like this is a really good thing to learn to incorporate into my own coaching, and the one-to-one coaching, to maybe incorporate down the line into larger scale events, things like that. So, and the more I do it, the more I learn.
Yeah, and I like that you said it was fun, and it was like play and fun, because I think that's when people are playing and having fun and laughing, especially, they change. And that's definitely something I've noticed time and time again. In fact, with me, the more that I make things playful, the more that things become pliable. People say, oh, I need this money by Friday, and they get so serious about it. And I think in that state of mind, you're never going to get it. But if you just got a little bit more relaxed about it, and you made fun of it, and you kind of made it a light thing, then it's like that whole dynamic will shift. And like you said, maybe you can clear out some of your space. And what other exercises would you have? I know people are hotbed right now is money. Everybody wants more money, no matter how much they have. So what are some of the coolest things that you would like to share? Maybe like 2 things that involve how people can manifest and allow money to flow to them.
Well, like if we go back to the first topic, which is the vacuum of prosperity, or sometimes called the clearing or cleansing laws. And this is not just important for money, it's important for everything, but people don't realize how it's all connected. Most people is take care of this, like start taking care of the stuff you're not taking care of. Let go of resentment. Like that's huge for, like you said, relationships, your health, and your financial. I mean, that's everything. If you're not dealing with that stuff, one of the funniest things, I say funny, it's not really funny, but I guess at this point, when I hear someone say this, it just sounds so ridiculous to me when someone says, well, I'm not going to forgive that person. As if they're doing something to them. And it's so ridiculous because it's detrimental to yourself physically. It's detrimental to your other relationships by holding on to that. And it's detrimental to your prosperity, financial and otherwise, because now you've got stuff blocking the space that things could come in. And then to the counter of that, the counter of and it's interesting too, because sometimes you also have to, if you really work on, like I also do like loving kindness meditation. I'll send energy to someone, especially if I'm feeling something, if I'm feeling some sort of resentment or trigger or whatever, I'll meditate and send positive energy. I wish someone loved success and happiness, and there are probably people who are prospering because they annoyed me. But I'll do that. But it makes me feel good. I feel really good, and sometimes I even have to look at. Sometimes you can get triggered by something, and even though you know it's your fault, you have to admit that you are judging that person or you are upset with them for something they're not giving you or something like that. And as soon as you own it, then you can deal with it energetically. So opening that up, and then on the other side of that stuff, clearing out the physical space, clearing out the emotional space, clearing out the old stories, limiting beliefs, things that don't serve you. A lot of people are very attached to their stories, especially their victim stories. You gotta let go of that stuff. And then on the other side of that, the flip side is, focusing on things like, doing the loving kindness meditation, doing, practicing gratitude, practicing, gratitude, in general, but also appreciation of other people in your life, really taking the time to notice and appreciate other people. And those things have all these surface benefits, but then they also have this really deep, energetic, spiritual benefit of creating this space for all sorts of prosperity.
I like that. And you turned me on to an author who was really good, and you turned me on to Victor Bach, and we have a mutual affinity for Catherine Ponder. And I know they teach a lot of these principles they seem simple, but like you said, they're so powerful if you actually put them into your daily routine. And one of the things I learned from Victor Bach was the attractor and repellent forces that are going with your prosperity. And he makes it simple how you can do it, what I like to call a tithe. You don't have to call it the tithe, but giving what you want to receive. You give love if you want love, give money if you want money. And then he talks about how to bring it in with a daily practice. Do you remember what that daily practice is of bringing it in?
I do the daily practice, so of course I remember.
Fantastic.
So the wonderful thing is, Victor Bach is just wonderful. He's actually answered a couple personal questions that I've asked him about the, and another thing to know is that he's got very, very powerful testimonials in the front of his book, and two of them are directly from two of my mentors. So I know that it's credible. And he's also so enthusiastic when you write to him. Like, he has no doubt in his mind whatsoever that this stuff works, and it's already started. I've already had results, but I'm not going to get into that yet because I'm still in the throw of it, and I don't like to give too much away. But so every morning, what he has you do is he has you read aloud, maybe 5 to 10. And he has a whole process, of course, in the book to get to these affirmations. And how to not make conflicting affirmations, things like that. But then every morning you read these 5 to 10 affirmations aloud. And that's the morning. And then it's best when you first wake up, because you're in that sort of theta state where you're more receptive to this kind of thing. Napoleon Hill talked about the same thing. He didn't call it the theta state, but he was talking about the same thing. And then somewhere in the day, and this could still be in the morning or this could be in afternoon or somewhere else, you take one of your affirmations and you write it 10 to 20 times. And again, without you, it's good to write it on a blank sheet of paper, maybe change your handwriting around a little bit, different things to trick the brain, to let the brain know that this isn't the same old, same old. It makes your brain work harder, and it makes it more effective. And there are some other tools in there as well. And then The last thing right before you go to bed, and if you feel too tired, that's actually perfect because you're in that good theta state. So you're never too tired. You're actually in the perfect state. And in that state, you read your 10 affirmations, or 5 or 10 affirmations. And it doesn't have to be 5 or 10, but whatever. And the affirmations can change. They don't have to be the same every day. The key that I got from Victor and some correspondence with him is really to have the energy feel right. If the energy feels right, it's right. And change as much as you need to stay in the energy, because you don't want to force yourself and then not be in the right energy.
Let's elaborate on that energy. Like, what do you mean by have the energy right? What do you mean by that?
What I mean is that we are all intuitive, and we all know what we really want, even if it doesn't seem obvious to us on a conscious level. So you might have an affirmation, and the affirmation might shift a little bit, or become less important, or something else might take precedence. So really just letting yourself flow with that, and not forcing yourself to, say the same, believe that if you don't say this affirmation, until it manifests, it's not going to manifest. Really being able to not drop the commitment, but know that it's been handled, it's been answered. When you feel that, be able to, because we don't want to get compulsive about it, because it's that whole, we were talking about it on a previous time, but the commitment versus attachment. If you start to get compulsive about it, then you get into the wrong energy, that attachment energy, and then you're pushing it away. So there's a balance there.
Yes, I like that a lot, and it reminds me of kind of like the father of autosuggestion, is a guy named Emil Kuh. Have you heard of him?
I've heard of the name, yeah, and I think I've listened to some of his audios.
Yeah, and I bet you have, because I know how you study. It's voraciously. That's what I admire that. So he talked about how he'd speak it in a monotone. Like, let's say you want to, I have $5,000 now, $5,000. Just real monotone, so you're not attached to it. And his thing was, every day and every way I'm getting better and better now.
Oh yeah, I know him.
That was
that one. Yeah.
That was his thing. And I like when you talk about the brain states, because you have the beta state, that's the waking brain, and most people are in a beta state all day when they're awake, and that's not the ideal time to plant these affirmations, because your logical mind is not going to allow that into the fertile unconscious part of you. So like you said, you drop into alpha, and then theta would be the ideal place, because then there's no resistance to it. The unconscious part will take it and immediately start to act on that.
Right,
so,
right. You're most suggestible, like in, I guess, hypnosis or something like that. They say your most suggestible kind of state.
Yeah. So do you use any, well, you've got some cool stories. One day I'll get you to share those stories when you feel comfortable enough to tell us what you manifested. But I've been using his work too, and I will say that there has been some pretty cool things that I've manifested as well. And, for me, it's just excitement. I follow my excitement in every moment. And I don't know what tomorrow will bring, because I don't really care. I just kind of get excited, and then I just do it. And then I go with it until the excitement's not there, and then I stop and say, okay, if it's not exciting anymore, why is it not exciting? Have I changed, or is my goal different now? Or, so there's always a difference there. Have you noticed anything like that? Are you into that whole excitement thing, or what drives you at the core?
So, if you're not excited and inspired and having fun in life, then what's the point anyway? So, we don't want to just, it's interesting. Took a little day trip to the Anzo Borrego desert last Saturday. And one of the things that I was journaling about a little bit, which it's easy to forget, is to give up that whole "in order to." So for the fun, inspiring excitement, we should I hate to even say should. That's the beauty of life anyway. So if that's not happening, then you want to create that anyway, not just to create it to create something else, not this in order to. Like Thich Nhat Hanh talked about that a lot. Give up the in order to. Really just do something for the sake of doing it. And if we're in that energy, we're in the flow, and things are naturally going to come to us because we're working with the universal energy versus against it or repelling it. So I agree, and I say don't just do it to accomplish something, do it because it's fun, and that's what life's about.
Exactly. So in essence, you just align with the force of life, which is that fun and excitement that's in you, that desire, which means of the Father, and kind of following that. And then the things that you want sort of come and find you, and you kind of align with them and you see them. Because to manifest means just to make visible. You know, that's
Right.
You're just seeing what's already there. So, is there anything you want to add, Billie?
Well, just the one thing is really to have a practice. You know, Victor Bach, one of the things he says in his book, he says, don't even skip one day. You know, if you're working on something, don't skip one day. And I think a lot of times with, you know, I hear people, you know, there are people who are very, very excited about manifesting and law of attraction and stuff like that, and they watch all these, you know, videos and stuff like that, and they're wondering why nothing happens. But they're not actually applying it to their own life and what they want. They're not keeping up with the practice. They don't have a practice. So they're listening and they're excited and they're, you know, in that kind of energy, but there's no direction. And we have to ask for what we want. So, and we have to have a practice. So I think that, and the practice doesn't have to be anything, you know, terrible, but we have to have a direction. Like in Victor Bach said in his book too, you know, like if you want to get somewhere, you can't just go to the ticket agent and say, you know, just give me a ticket to anywhere. You know, you have to, you know, so you have this great energy, but it's up to you to direct that energy in some way. And I think that a lot of people are missing that step. And I've, you know, compared it to, you know, saying that you want to, you know, lose weight or something like that. And so you watch a lot of exercise videos, but you don't do them. You just sit on the couch and watch them. And that's what some people do with the law of attraction. They just watch the videos and they say, well, I feel like it works. I believe in it. But it's not just the belief. You have to have a practice.
I love that. That's true, because that's the you know, the divine feminine and the divine masculine have to merge in that sacred marriage, and you got the intention, but you also have to have the practice.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, that was just a glimpse, everyone, of what Billie has to offer, and Billie is really, really good. So if people want to find your work, Billie, where can we find you on the internet?
I'll tell you that in 1 second. I just want to throw one other thing in.
Please do. Please do.
Okay. So the you know, you're always giving me these compliments like I have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I want to be clear about that. And what I do with coaching, and you know, generally the goal of my coaching is to help you or help whoever, you know, is the expert that I'm speaking with, because we're all experts on our own lives, and really draw that out of you. Now, sometimes there's something that you don't see, and I can't get you to see it, you know, when we you know, help lead and facilitate. But I just want to be clear that I'm not, you know, just giving all the answers. So that's more consulting versus coaching. And I do mix, I would say, both. So I just want to clarify that. And also, just to say the three things that my coaching is focused on currently is the high-level VIP coaching, visionary coaching, and spiritual mentoring, and then I'm starting a high-level mastermind this year, and also I do coaching adventures. So those are the three elements. And to find me, you can go to coachbillieallen.com, and or you can reach me at create@coachbillieallen.com, or on Facebook, billieallen.sd.
Awesome.
In San Diego.
Awesome. That's perfect. Well, definitely check it out, guys. And any closing thoughts? You know, well, I'm glad you clarified that, because coaching and consulting are two different things. And there again, that's what, you know, that's how fast it is. You see, I brought this general over-encompassing thing, and I said it, and then you instantly pick that up and correct it. I love that. See, that's the power of it. So check it out. Go to Coach Billie Allen. That's BILLIE, CoachBillieAllen.com. Thank you so much, Billie.
And thank you so much for having me on, Matthew.
Sounds good. And I'll have you on again. We're going to talk about your success stories, and I'm going to get some of that stuff out of you and make you share it with everybody. All right. Well, have a good night.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.